white or brown people. So Kiswahili doesn't use colors. When you talk about a white person in Kiswahili, if you directly translate it, mtu mweupe, it means a light-skinned person.
This is an untapped market that I believe is huge than the current tourism market that African countries are trying to chase with the European market
And white Americans.
The white American market. Like African American market is a huge tourism untapped market that African countries need to look at. Because
and you know, it's interesting, Mika, you mentioned that there was a time I met people from the Kenya Tourism Board in one of the, I think it was at the New York Marathon that I'd gone to, and I met people from the Kenya Tourism Board, and I mentioned this to them, and they were so confused, you know, like it was kind of like, what are you talking about?
Those guys are clueless.
It's so, no, I think, you know, like everything is wired to white people.
Yes.
You know, like in Kenya Tourism Board, from the marketing materials to even what they actually market. You know, like, yes, it's great to go for safaris. It's great to go to the sandy beaches, but Kenya offers much more than that.
Correct.
There are so many other things that that black people, black tourists would be interested in that Kenya Tourism Board is just not in tune with. And then when they look for a black person to help them market, they go for personalities who are not necessarily in touch with the black community.
Have no clue.
They go for Naomi Campbell. You know, and I mean, I'm sorry, Naomi, we love you, but I'm sorry to say, especially the younger demographic, they're not going to be influenced by what Naomi does. There's a lot of, you know, like travel bloggers who are on YouTube. Those are the ones who are actually influencing people to want to go to places. The Wodemeyers, the Tayos,
you know,
and there's also some, you know, like there's actually African Americans who are in Kenya, and there's multiple of them.
Yes.
There's one from Texas. I'm forgetting his name. I think it's called Austin something. I can't remember his full name, but he's been to Kenya, and man, he loves Kenya so much. I mean, he's gone to the other countries, and he's politically incorrect. You know, like he'll tell you why he loves Kenya over Tanzania, for example. I'm not going to mention that. You have to go to his YouTube page. I'm going to share with you guys, but he'll specifically tell you.
Bandio might catch feelings. So don't say.
But he'll specifically tell you why he loves this country over that country, which is a very good thing. I think that's an opportunity, like Mika said, that we are sleeping on. Near Generational on YouTube, I think, wants to call. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Near, you're not gonna be we're not gonna see you. Don't worry, your face is not gonna be shown. It's just audio. You know, today we are only the only face you're gonna see is our faces here in studio and Afro-Jamaican's face, who's currently in Canada. So you can call that number 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak in case you have a question. And while we are waiting for that call, Afro-Jamaican, there's this thing called expectations. I feel like black people, especially in the Western Hemisphere, have gotten so excited about this idea of Africa. I'm talking about even the ones who haven't gone there yet, but the excitement is there. How do we manage that expectation? Because sometimes that excitement, too much excitement, sometimes may lead to disappointment. So what's something that you can tell someone who has that excitement that hasn't gone to Africa yet, or rather to Kenya yet, needs to be wary about? Afro-Jamaican.
So if you are Black American and you're thinking of going to Africa, I'm going to say do some, especially if you're Afrocentric, you're a strong Pan-Africanist, do some research, because people in Africa, their experience is very different from ours. So they're not, and this is from my experience now, I did not find Kenyans overtly, I don't want to say black, but I don't know if you understand what I mean. Blackness, they're not identified by their blackness. So coming from somewhere where it's very much a part of our culture for them, they're just Kenyans. So they're not going to, you might see them being extra friendly to Europeans, whereas you would be like, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So be very aware of that, because they're not the same. Their experiences are definitely not the same.
Correct.
So they're not gonna have that not militant, that they're not gonna have that passion that you have for your Africanness.
The fire.
Yes, they won't have that fire.
And,
Not all of them.
And we never had. I think if you talk to what's her name, the artist, Anna Mwalago.
Yes.
So Anna Mwalago is a Kenyan artist. So she goes around. She has a band, does lectures and poetry and things like that. And she has, is it a play or I think it's a play.
No, it's spoken word.
It's a spoken word,
yeah.
And one of them is that she did not realize she was black until she came to America.
Yeah.
And then she breaks it down and explains it, like what she went through, we also didn't realize our blackness or how black we were until we started interacting with the white man here. So, and we look at things very differently, just like you say. So when I go back home and I see a waiter at a restaurant is, like you said, being overtly nice to the white person, and they may take their time getting to me, I get pissed off. And I tell them off, and I break it down to them as to why they should not do what they are doing. Because my money is the same color, I guess, if you're using a dollar, my money is green just like the green money that they have. So, you guys need to realize that. And I realize your value more than they do, but you don't realize that because you assume since they're of that color that they value you more, or they'll tip you, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and another interesting thing, Kaiser, about the Swahili language, because, language sometimes tells a story about the people. And that's the reason why it's very important for all Africans to, get more in touch with the languages. So regarding, like skin color, Kiswahili doesn't assign colors to race. That's an English thing. Black, white, or brown people. So Kiswahili doesn't use colors. When you talk about a white person in Kiswahili, if you directly translate it, mtu mweupe, it means a light-skinned person. It doesn't mean a white person. Mtu mweusi, a black person, it means a dark-skinned person. Does not necessarily mean of course, if you're dark-skinned, you're most likely African, but it's a dark-skinned person. So when it comes to race, we assign specific names. White people, wazungu; Indians, wahindi; Arabs, waarabu. There's no these are brown people. That's an English thing. So and that's something that I think people who are learning the language sometimes have difficulty, and even people who know the language, I've had people sometimes say watu to mean black people in America, and I've had conversations about this with some people who are very good in Kiswahili. That's a phraseology that I disagree with, because if you're randomly talking to, of course, someone like my late grandmother who never spoke any English, if you tell them to mweusi, what she understands is not black people. She understands it's a dark-skinned person. So that's just something about the nuances of color. And I think we do have a caller.
Yes, we do. 45. Let me make sure.
Last four numbers.
4519.
Yeah. Tell us your name, and please tell us also where you're calling from. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. This is. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
This is Nia Generation. I'm from Ohio.
Woo! Welcome, Nia.
Karibu sana.
Nice to finally hear your voice.
Kiswahili yangu is nimbaya, nimesahau Kiswahili yangu.
Kiswahili chako ni kizuri. Kiswahili chako kiko sawa.
Uko sawa kabisa.
Iko sawa kabisa. Usiwe na wasiwasi.
It's been a long time. I haven't been there since 1990. So,
wow.
I just wanted to thank you guys. Thank you, One Mic. I actually have good news. I was going to let you guys know. I got in contact with my family. So,
nice.
Good, great.
How that work is, I sent messages to Nairobi Hospital, and I was able to find my uncle, who's a doctor. and we've been communicating, and that's been many years. They were crying, I was crying, so I'm so happy that I was able to locate them finally. So
Wow.
thank you guys, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
1990, I think Omosh over here was like already
No, Omosh was in his 30s.
was in his 70s, I think 40s.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
carry on here.
Wow. It's
I went to Kilimani. I went to Aga Khan for a little while. Like I was there for about 4 or 5 years, and then I came back and finished high school here in Ohio. But I just wanted to say that I'm just happy because I know with the internet, I know you guys are talking about the diaspora and Black Americans going back. And, you know, I think it's also a spiritual thing for a lot of Black Americans when you're in Kenya. And I used to tell this to a lot of like my Black American relatives on my mother's side. My father is the one who's Kenyan. That it's just a whole different thing to see when you're in a country, the advertising, you see Black people. When you go to an office, it's Black people handling business. And I think that's why some people get so excited because you're living in a society where you constantly have to validate and prove yourself, whether it's on the job or you have to be paranoid if I'm driving, are they going to pull me over for no reason? You don't have to worry about a lot of that in Africa. And I think when you're born in an all-Black country, I got to experience that for a couple of years. You don't have to worry about that. And you see people, you see your reflection in other people who are doing well.